Say it again. Say you don't belong to Kwon Jae-min.
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was.
He doesn't touch women he doesn't intend to keep. If you pull that trigger, you'll spend the rest of your short life begging me for mercy.
The gun dropped. Her eyes flew open. Kwon Jae-min was standing there, suit immaculate, gaze locked on her like she was the only thing that mattered. 3 weeks earlier, she had believed her biggest problem was planning a perfect anniversary. The morning started normal. Too normal. She woke up at 6, sunlight streaming through curtains she'd picked out 2 years ago when they first moved in together. She checked the calendar twice, fingers tracing the date like it might disappear if she looked away. 3 years. 3 years of late-night conversations and shared coffee cups and promises whispered in the dark. 3 years of building a life she thought was solid. She made coffee in the kitchen, humming while the machine gurgled. Her phone buzzed with a text from her best friend. "Dinner tonight? Haven't seen you in forever." She typed back quickly. "Can't. Anniversary? Tomorrow?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "Sure, have fun." Work dragged. She sat, through meetings about quarterly projections and marketing strategies, her mind elsewhere. She'd planned this day for weeks, reservations at his favorite restaurant, a gift she'd saved for months to buy, something special waiting at home. She watched the clock tick forward with agonizing slowness, each minute stretching like taffy. At 3 o'clock, she gathered her things. Her coworker looked up, surprised. "Leaving early?" "Doctor's appointment," she lied smoothly. The office felt suffocating suddenly. Fluorescent lights too bright. Air too stale. She needed to get out, needed to get home, needed everything to be perfect. The grocery store felt too bright, aisles stretching endlessly. She bought food he loved, the expensive cheese he pretended not to care about because of the price, the wine they'd shared on their first date. A bottle that cost more than she wanted to spend, but less than the occasion deserved. She remembered that first date. How nervous she'd been. How he'd made her laugh until wine came out her nose. How he'd looked at her like she was the only person in the world. Then she stopped at a boutique she'd walked past 100 times but never entered. The kind of place with tissue paper and ribbon and price tags that made her wince. The lingerie felt bold in her hands, red lace that made her heart race. The saleswoman smiled knowingly. "Special occasion?" "Anniversary. 3 years." "He's a lucky man." She hoped so. Things had been different lately. Distant. He came home late, tired, distracted. She'd catch him staring at his phone with an expression she couldn't read. When she asked about it, he'd smile and say work was stressful. She believed him because the alternative was unthinkable. She rehearsed a speech in her car, words catching in her throat. "I know we've been distant lately, but I want us to—" No. Too accusatory. "I've been thinking about what you said last month, and—" Wrong. What had he said last month? She couldn't remember. When? Had they stopped really talking? She reached their apartment building as the sun dipped low, painting everything gold. Juggled bags and keys, excitement and anxiety warring in her chest. The hallway smelled like someone's cooking, garlic and tomatoes. Their door was unlocked. She noticed but didn't process it, too busy balancing bags and racing thoughts. Shoes by the door that weren't hers. Red heels. Expensive ones. Her brain stuttered, refusing to connect dots that were screaming at her. Maybe his sister stopped by. Maybe a coworker needed something. Maybe... She didn't call out. Something felt wrong. Air thick with a tension she couldn't name. The apartment was too quiet. Not empty quiet. Holding its breath quiet. She set the bags down carefully, wine bottle clinking against the counter. walked toward the bedroom on feet that didn't feel like hers. Bedroom noises stopped suddenly, the silence somehow louder than sound. Her hand reached for the doorknob. Part of her knew. Part of her had known for months, ignoring signs because seeing them would mean everything was broken. She opened the door anyway, saw everything. The world condensed to a single image burned into her retinas. Her best friend, her boyfriend, sheets tangled around limbs that shouldn't be tangled, eyes wide with horror that came 3 seconds too late. Time stopped, then rushed forward too fast. Silence stretched, elastic and suffocating. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. The universe held still, waiting to see what she'd do. Her best friend started crying first, mascara already running like she'd been preparing for this moment. Fat tears rolling down cheeks flushed with shame and something else. Something that looked almost like relief. Her boyfriend talked too fast, words tumbling over each other in a desperate cascade. It's not what it looks like. But it was exactly what it looked like. It just happened. But nothing just happens. We didn't mean for you to find out this way. They just meant to keep lying. The timeline spilled out without being asked, words falling like dominoes. 6 months. 6 months of texts and lies and afternoons when she'd been working late, trying to make partner, trying to build a future for them. 6 months of looking her in the eye and asking how her day was. 6 months of girls' nights where they laughed about bad dates and annoying coworkers, all while this sat between them like a bomb. Say something, her best friend whispered. Please, yell at me, hit me, something. She didn't scream, didn't cry. The grocery bags slipped from the counter where she'd left them, wine bottle rolling across hardwood with a hollow sound. It didn't break. She almost wished it would. At least then something would shatter besides her. She picked up her purse with mechanical precision. Keys, phone, wallet, the essentials. Her boyfriend scrambled out of bed, sheet wrapped around his waist. Wait. Where are you going? We need to talk about this. Talk about what? Her voice sounded strange, distant, like it belonged to someone else. You've been sleeping with my best friend for 6 months. What else is there to say? It's more complicated than that. Is it? She looked at him, really looked at him, and wondered how she'd missed this. The guilt hiding behind every smile. The way he couldn't quite meet her eyes anymore. Did you ever love me? Of course I... Don't lie to me, not now. You've lied enough. She walked toward the door while they called her name, voices overlapping in desperate harmony. Her best friend was sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It wasn't supposed to happen. We tried to stop, but they didn't try hard enough. They didn't try at all. She sat in her car, staring ahead at nothing. Blocked both numbers with steady fingers. First his, then hers. Watched their names disappear from her phone like they'd never existed. Didn't drive home because home wasn't home anymore. Home was a crime scene. Evidence of everything she'd believed scattered across rumpled sheets. The city lights blurred, and she realized she was crying without sound, tears tracking down her face like they'd been waiting for permission. 3 years. 3 years reduced to nothing in the time it took to open a door. If you're hooked on this story, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and what you're feeling about this betrayal. Are you team leave him in the dust or team burn it all down? Let me know. And stick around because what happens next will change everything. She wandered the city alone. No destination, no plan. Drove past their favorite restaurant where she'd made reservations. Past the park where he'd first said he loved her. Past the coffee shop where they'd spent Sunday mornings reading newspapers and stealing bites of each other's pastries. Every street held a memory she wanted to forget. Missed calls lit up her phone screen. Both their names flashing, like accusations even though she'd blocked them. Voicemails piling up. She didn't notice, didn't care. Let them drown in their guilt. Let them wonder where she was. She ended up somewhere unfamiliar, a part of the city she'd never had reason to visit. Neon signs reflected in puddles from an earlier rain she didn't remember. The streets felt dangerous here, exciting in a way her careful life never was. She texted a friend she rarely trusted, someone from college who'd always been too wild, too reckless, too everything her boyfriend said to avoid. "Are you out?" The reply came instantly. "Always. Where are you?" She sent her location, waited in her car, watching people stumble between bars, laughter too loud, happiness too forced. Her friend appeared 20 minutes later, designer bag and heels that cost more than rent. Slid into the passenger seat and studied her face. What happened? Everything. Say more. Anniversary. Came home early. Found him with her. Him who with her, who? Boyfriend. Best friend. Her friend's face hardened. "I'll kill them both. Say the word and I want to forget." She gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. "Just for tonight. I want to forget everything." Her friend smiled, dangerous and beautiful. "I know exactly where we're going." She changed clothes in a public bathroom, the fluorescent lights making her skin look corpse pale. Her friend had brought options, dresses she'd never wear, heels that made her 3 inches taller. She smeared lipstick darker than usual, hands shaking slightly. The woman in the mirror looked like a stranger, and she preferred it that way. Armor made of makeup and silk. The club her friend mentioned was one she'd never been brave enough to try. The kind of place with a dress code and a velvet rope and security that looked like they enjoyed hurting people. Bass thumped from inside, felt more than heard. The bouncer nodded at her friend, didn't even check the list. They walked past a line of people waiting, feeling envious eyes follow them. Music hit hard inside, bass vibrating through her chest cavity like a second heartbeat. Lights strobed, making movement jerky, surreal. Bodies pressed together on the dance floor, anonymous in the dark. She ordered something strong at the bar, vodka and something else she didn't catch. The bartender was beautiful, tattooed, bored, poured without measuring. She drank it wrong, too fast, fire burning down her throat. Gasped. Ordered another. The bartender raised an eyebrow but poured. "Rough night? Rough life. Aren't they all?" He slid the glass across, fingers lingering on hers for a moment too long. She pulled away. Her friend materialized with shots, something blue and probably lethal. To terrible men and worse friends. To burning bridges. They drank. The alcohol hit her system, warmth spreading from her stomach outward. The edges of everything softened, pain receding to something manageable. She danced like she was daring, someone to stop her, arms raised, eyes closed, letting the music drown out thoughts that kept trying to surface. Her friend whooped beside her, laughing, free in a way she'd forgotten how to be. She felt watched. The sensation crawled up her spine, persistent and specific. Not the general awareness of being in a crowded space, but targeted, focused. She turned slowly, scanning faces in the crowd, looking for the source. Saw him across the room. He was leaning against a pillar near the VIP section, suit too expensive for a place like this. Dark hair pushed back from a face that could have been carved from marble, all sharp angles and shadows. He didn't smile. Didn't approach. Didn't break eye contact. Just watched her with an intensity that should have scared her, but didn't. Someone whispered his name near her, a girl with glitter on her cheekbones leaning close to be heard over the music. "That's Kwon Jae-min. Stay away from him." "Why?" Because girls who get involved with him don't come back the same. The warning should have registered, should have sent her running. Instead, it sparked something reckless in her chest. She laughed it off, liquid courage making her bold. I'm not interested. Tell him that, not me. The girl gestured. He was still watching, hadn't looked away once. A drink appeared at her elbow minutes later, something amber in a crystal glass that looked out of place among the plastic cups everyone else carried. The bartender nodded toward the VIP section. From the gentleman. She pushed it back. I didn't order this. He said you'd say that. He also said to tell you it's not poisoned, just expensive. Tell him I'm not interested in expensive things. The bartender smirked. Tell him yourself. He's right behind you. She turned. He'd appeared beside her without warning, materializing like smoke. Up close, he was even more striking, all controlled power and dark eyes that saw too much. You're here for the wrong reasons, he said. His voice was low, accented, cutting through the music like it existed on a different frequency. She turned to face him fully, tilting her chin up. You don't know anything about me. You're wearing pain like perfume. Everyone can smell it. The words hit too close, scalpel precise. Cut through her defenses like they were paper. She fired back. And you're standing here like you own the place. Do you? His lips curved, not quite a smile. Would it matter? Yes, no, I don't know. The honesty surprised her. The alcohol was working, loosening her tongue, making her dangerous. Someone hurt you tonight, he said, not a question. Statement of fact delivered with certainty. That's none of your business. You're right. But you came here wanting to hurt yourself more. That becomes my business when you're in my line of sight. She snapped. Your line of sight? I don't know you. You don't get to decide what's your business. You don't get to stand there looking at me like you can see inside my head. Then leave. He stopped, creating space between them. Walk away. Go home. Process your pain like a reasonable person instead of drowning it in vodka and bad decisions. She should have. Every instinct that had kept her safe for 27 years screamed at her to run. This man was dangerous. Not in the obvious way. Not in the way that got reported to police. Dangerous in the way that changed things, that left marks you couldn't see. Instead, she stayed rooted, gravity shifting around him like he was a planet and she was caught in his orbit. What if I don't want to be reasonable? She stepped closer, emboldened by alcohol and heartbreak, and 3 years of being careful. What if I want to make the worst decision possible? His eyes darkened. You're drunk. Not drunk enough. You'll regret this tomorrow. I'm already drowning in regrets. What's one more? He studied her face, reading things she wasn't saying. Seconds stretched. Music pounded. Finally, he spoke. What's your name? She told him, syllables foreign in her own mouth. He repeated it once, tasting it, making it sound different. Better. Come with me, he said. Where? Somewhere quieter. We can't talk here. Maybe I don't want to talk? I know you don't. That's why we're going to. He led her somewhere without asking, through a door marked private, past security that parted like the Red Sea. Upstairs that climbed forever, her heels clicking against concrete. Through another door, and suddenly they were on a rooftop. Air cut sharp and cold, sobering. City sprawled below them like scattered diamonds, millions of lights hiding millions of stories. The noise from the club faded to a distant thump. Up here, the world felt smaller, manageable. He lit a cigarette with practiced ease, offered her one. She shook her head. I don't smoke. Good, don't start. He took a drag, smoke curling around his face. I should warn you, I'm not a good person. I don't care. You will. He studied her, smoke drifting between them. What happened tonight? Why do you care? I don't, but I'm asking anyway. She laughed, sharp and broken. Found my boyfriend sleeping with my best friend. It was our anniversary. 3 years down the drain. He's an idiot. She's worse. At least he didn't pretend to be my friend. They both are. Anyone who had you and chose to risk it is a fool. The words were simple, stated like fact rather than flattery. You don't know me. I know enough. I know you came here tonight looking to drown. I know you're dancing with self-destruction like it's a lover. I know you're seconds away from doing something you can't take back. Maybe that's what I want. It's not. He moved closer, cigarette forgotten. Tomorrow you'll wake up and hate yourself more than you hate them, and they don't deserve that power over you. Tears burned her eyes. Then what am I supposed to do? Go home to an apartment that smells like them? Pretend everything's fine? I don't have anywhere to go. You have everywhere to go. The whole world. This is just one night in one city. Tomorrow it'll hurt less. Next week, even less. In a year, you won't remember what it felt like to love someone who didn't deserve it. You sound like you know. Everyone knows. Pain isn't special. It's universal. What matters is what you do with it. She wiped her eyes, mascara smearing. What did you do with yours? I became someone nobody can hurt. He flicked the cigarette over the edge, watched it fall. I don't recommend it. Why not? Because nobody can make me happy either. He turned to face her fully, backlit by city lights. Go home. Take tomorrow off work. Cry until you can't anymore. Block them on everything. In 6 months, this will be a story you tell at parties. In a year, you won't remember his middle name. You're giving me advice on getting over heartbreak while looking at me like that? Like what? Like you want to kiss me. Silence stretched between them, dangerous and electric. I do want to kiss you. That's why I'm telling you to leave. Because if you stay, I will. And tomorrow you'll add me to the list of terrible decisions. She closed the distance between them, decision made. Kissed him like drowning, like he was air and she'd been underwater for years. He hesitated, muscles tensing under her hands. Then he lost control. Decision made without words. His kiss was different from anything she'd known, consuming, like he was trying to devour whatever darkness she was carrying. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against hers. Last chance to run. I'm done running. A private car materialized downstairs, leather seats and tinted windows, and a driver who didn't make eye contact. She should have asked questions, should have wondered how a car appeared so quickly, should have recognized the danger signs. Silence was louder than music, broken only by their breathing and the city rushing past outside. His place felt unreal when they arrived. Too modern, too clean, like a set piece from a movie. Floor-to-ceiling windows showing the city spread out like a circuit board. Furniture that looked expensive to sit on. Art she didn't understand on walls, painted colors she couldn't name. No tour, no speeches. Just tension snapping like a wire pulled too tight. His hands on her waist, lips on her neck, breath hot against her skin. Everything happened fast and slow at once, time stretching and compressing. Hands and breath and the feeling of falling without a parachute. She forgot about her boyfriend, her best friend, the apartment that wasn't home anymore. Forgot everything except this moment, this man, this choice. Morning light broke through, floor-to-ceiling windows, harsh and unforgiving. She woke first, disoriented in sheets that cost more than her monthly rent. White Egyptian cotton that felt like clouds. The bed was massive, room bigger than her entire apartment. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then it rushed back. All of it. The betrayal. The club. Him. She turned her head slowly. He was still asleep beside her, face softer without consciousness. Noticed scars she didn't see before in the dark, pale lines across his ribs, a burn mark on his shoulder blade. Questions formed but dissolved. What did she really know about him? His name? That he owned a club? That he kissed like he was trying to steal her soul? She dressed quietly, finding her clothes scattered across marble floors. The borrowed dress from her friend crumpled near the door, her heels by the bed. She moved like a ghost, afraid to wake him, afraid of what morning conversation would sound like. Left without a goodbye, closing the door with a soft click that felt louder than a gunshot. The elevator ride down felt endless, mirrored walls showing her reflection from too many angles. She looked wrecked, makeup smeared, hair tangled, lips swollen. Looked like exactly what she was. The morning air outside was cold, shocking against her skin. She ordered a car on her phone, waited on a corner in a neighborhood she didn't recognize. Tried not to think about what she'd done, who she'd done it with, what it meant. Days passed in a blur. She worked late on purpose, avoiding familiar places, dodging calls from numbers she'd blocked. They found other ways to reach her. Emails, messages on social media. Her boyfriend's sister showed up at her office. He's sorry. He made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. For 6 months? She kept walking. That's not a mistake. That's a choice he made every single day. Her apartment felt haunted by an anniversary that never happened. She threw away the lingerie still in its bag, tissue paper, crumpling. The receipt was a reminder of how stupid she'd been, how blind. The expensive cheese sat in her fridge, uneaten. The wine she couldn't bring herself to open alone. Work became her refuge. She stayed until the cleaning crew arrived, left before anyone else got in. Slept in her office some nights, head on her desk, too tired to face the commute. Her boss noticed but didn't comment, probably assumed she was gunning for promotion. The parking garage at night was poorly lit, shadows pooling in corners. Her footsteps echoed too loud in the concrete space. She was almost to her car when she heard other footsteps behind her. "We need to talk." She spun, keys clutched between her fingers like claws. Her ex-boyfriend stood there, looking worse than she'd ever seen him. Unshaven, eyes bloodshot, shirt wrinkled like he'd slept in it. Desperation rolled off him in waves. "There's nothing to talk about," she said, heart pounding. "And you need to leave. Now." "You won't answer my calls. You blocked me. I just need 5 minutes." "You had 6 months. You used them to sleep with my best friend." She backed toward her car. "That's all the time you get." His face twisted, anger breaking through the desperation. "It wasn't like that. You were always working, always tired." She was just there. She listened. She cared. "I cared. I was building a future for us." "You were building a future for yourself. I was just supposed to wait around while you climbed the corporate ladder." "So you climbed into bed with her instead?" She laughed, sharp and bitter. "That's your defense? I worked too hard so you had to cheat?" "You weren't there." His voice rose, echoing off concrete. "When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you asked about my day and actually listened to the answer?" "That doesn't justify." "I'm not trying to justify it. I'm trying to explain it." He stepped closer. She backed up. "I made a mistake. I know that. But we can fix this. 3 years. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" It meant everything to me. Past tense. She turned toward her car. His hand shot out, grabbing her arm. Not hard, but firm enough to stop her. "Don't walk away from me." A voice cut through the dark, smooth as silk over steel. "I'd remove that hand if I were you." Kwon Jae-min stepped out of shadows like he'd been waiting there all along. Her ex's face went white, hand dropping like she'd burned him. He stumbled backward, tripping over his own feet. "Who the hell are you?" But his voice shook, betraying him. Jae-min didn't answer him, eyes fixed on her ex like he was something scraped off a shoe. "You have 3 seconds to leave." 1. Her ex looked at her, desperate. "You're with him? That's why you won't talk to me? You moved on that fast?" 2. He ran. Actually ran, stumbling toward the exit like devils were chasing him. She heard his car start, tires squealing as he fled. Then silence. Just her and Jae-min in the echoing garage. She confronted him immediately. "Are you following me?" "Yes." The honesty stunned her. "Why?" "Because I wanted to." He moved closer, hands in his pockets, casual as discussing weather. "And because I knew someone would try to hurt you." "You don't know me. You don't get to decide I need protection. You don't get to just appear in my life and... I know enough." His gaze held hers, intense enough to burn. "I know you're stubborn. I know you hide pain behind anger. I know you kissed me that night because you wanted to feel something other than betrayal. I know you left without saying goodbye because you were scared of what morning would reveal." "Stop it." But her voice cracked. "I know you haven't stopped thinking about that night. Neither have I." The words hung between them, dangerous. She should have left. Should have told him to never contact her again. Should have gotten in her car and driven away from whatever this was. Instead, she heard herself say, "Why did you really approach me that night?" "Because you looked like you were drowning, and I recognized the feeling." He pulled something from his pocket, her ID. "You left this. I could have mailed it, but I wanted to see you again." "You could have called." "You didn't give me your number." "You found where I work. You found where I park. You could have found my number." "True, but then you'd know I looked for it. This way I had an excuse." The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. "Would you have answered if I'd called?" She didn't answer because they both knew the truth. She would have. Despite every warning, despite knowing nothing about him, despite everything smart and safe and reasonable, she would have answered. He insisted on dinner after that. She agreed on her terms. Somewhere public, somewhere she could leave if needed. But the restaurant he chose wasn't what she expected. Private rooms and waiters who moved like ghosts, and a view of the city that took her breath away. The kind of place where she couldn't pronounce half the menu. "Order for me," she said, closing the menu. "Any allergies?" "Just shellfish." He ordered in Korean, rapid and fluid, language she didn't speak. The waiter nodded, disappeared. They were alone in a room that cost more per hour than she made in a day. "Tell me something true," she said, "something real." "What do you want to know?" "Everything. Nothing. I don't know. Start with what you do, for work." "Import and export, various business interests across Asia and Europe." "That's not an answer. That's what you tell people at parties." He smiled, genuine this time. "You're right. What do you want me to say?" "The truth, whatever that is." "The truth is complicated, and potentially dangerous. Try me." "Not yet." He leaned forward, elbows on the table. "I'll make you a promise instead. No more lies. But you have to be sure you want the truth. Because once you know, you can't unknow it." "I want to know." "You think you do." Give it time. Food arrived. Dish after dish of things she couldn't name but tasted incredible. Conversation came easier than it should, laughter spilling out despite her best efforts. He told her about growing up in Seoul, about his family, about leaving Korea at 18 and never really going back. She told him about college, about her job, about dreams she'd had that felt stupid now. She almost relaxed, guards dropping one by one. Almost forgot that she knew nothing about this man, that she'd slept with him after knowing him for hours, that warning bells should be deafening. His phone kept buzzing throughout dinner. He ignored it once, twice, then excused himself. When he returned 5 minutes later, his mood had shifted too fast, storm clouds gathering behind his eyes. The easy smile was gone, replaced by something harder, sharper. Men were watching from a distance when they left the restaurant, suited and still, predators in human skin. They didn't approach, didn't speak, just watched. She noticed, said nothing. "What do you really do?" she asked in the car. "And don't say import-export." He was quiet for a long moment. "I move things that need moving. Money, information, sometimes people." "That's vague." "It's meant to be." "Are you a criminal?" "That depends on who you ask and where you're standing." "That's not an answer either." He turned to look at her, city lights sliding across his face. The world isn't divided into criminals and good people. It's divided into people who have power and people who don't. I have power. What I do with it is between me and my conscience. That's a terrifying philosophy. It's an honest one. He reached out, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Are you scared?" She should have been. Every rational cell in her body should have been screaming. But when she looked at him, all she felt was pull, gravity, inevitability. "No. You should be." "Probably. But I'm not good at should." He kissed her at her door, gentle this time, like she was something precious rather than something to consume. When he pulled back, he rested his forehead against hers. "I'm going out of town for a few days. Stay somewhere else. Don't be alone." "What? Why?" "Just a precaution." "Against what?" "People who want to hurt me by hurting things I care about." "You barely know me." "Doesn't matter. They think I care. That makes you a target." Fear finally flickered. "You're serious." "I'm always serious." He kissed her again, quick and hard. "Promise me you'll stay with a friend." "I promise." She didn't. Someone watched from across the street, cigarette glowing orange in the dark. She didn't see them. Jae-min did, but said nothing. Girls' night felt almost normal. Wine and laughter and friends who didn't know what had happened, who still thought her life was intact. They ordered too much food, drank too much wine, gossiped about coworkers and celebrities, and the new guy in accounting who wore too much cologne. She almost felt okay. Almost. Felt like the version of herself from a month ago, before everything fell apart. Then her friend asked if she was seeing anyone new. "Maybe. It's complicated. Good complicated, or bad complicated? I don't know yet." She thought about Jae-min, about warning signs she was ignoring, about how his kiss made her forget everything else. He's different. Different good? Different dangerous. Her friends exchanged glances. "Be careful," one said softly. "You've been through enough." "I know. I will be." Another lie. They left around midnight, hugs and promises to do this again soon. She watched them pile into separate cars, waving as they drove away. Climbed the stairs to her apartment, fumbling with keys, still tipsy enough to feel warm and loose. The door to her apartment swung open before she could unlock it, swung inward to chaos. Room destroyed, furniture overturned, glass everywhere. Books ripped apart, cushions slashed, picture frames shattered. 3 years of life reduced to rubble. A message was painted on the wall in red that looked too much like blood. "Stay away from what doesn't belong to you." Her phone rang in her shaking hands, number unknown. She answered without thinking. "You should have listened to the warnings." The voice was distorted, mechanical, inhuman. "Kwon Jae-min marks his territory. You're his now, which makes you our problem." "Who is this? What do you want?" We want you to deliver a message. Tell him Choi sends his regards. Tell him we're coming. I don't understand. I don't. Curtains moved. Her blood went cold. Men stood outside her window, 3 floors up, somehow on the fire escape. 3 of them, faces covered, hands empty but threatening. One smiled, showed teeth. Fear finally won, overwhelming everything else. She ran, phone clutched to her chest. Downstairs she'd climbed 1,000 times. Burst through the lobby door, the night guard looking up in alarm. "Call the police," she screamed. "Someone broke into my apartment." She didn't wait for his response, called Jae-min with shaking fingers. He answered on the first ring like he'd been waiting. "Where are you?" His voice was sharp, alert, completely awake. "My apartment. Someone was inside. They destroyed everything. Words tumbled out too fast. "Are you hurt?" "No, but they're still here. They were on my fire escape. They said to tell you." "Get out. Now. Black car at the corner. Get in." "How did you—" "Now." He hung up. The car was exactly where he said, idling at the curb with tinted windows. The driver's door opened and a woman stepped out, compact and dangerous looking. "Miss, Mr. Kwon sent me. Please get in." She hesitated for one heartbeat, then got in. What choice did she have? The door closed with a heavy thunk, locks engaging. The car pulled away smooth as silk. She watched her apartment building recede through the back window, police lights just starting to arrive. They drove for 20 minutes, leaving the city center, heading toward industrial areas she'd never had reason to visit. Warehouses and shipping containers and buildings with no signs. Finally, they pulled up to gates, massive iron things that looked military. Security everywhere. Men with guns visible now, not even trying to hide. Gates closed behind her with metallic finality. She was escorted inside by the woman driver and 2 men who appeared from nowhere. Through hallways that smelled like concrete and gun oil. Into an office that looked incongruous with its surroundings. All expensive furniture and art. Jae-min was there, jacket off, sleeves rolled up, looking more dangerous than she'd ever seen him. He crossed the room in 3 strides when he saw her, hands on her face, checking for injuries. "I'm fine," she said. "I'm not hurt." "They were in your apartment." "They destroyed everything. There was a message on the wall. They said—" "I know what they said." His jaw clenched. "I'm sorry. This is my fault." "What is this? What's happening?" "Sit down." He guided her to a leather couch, poured her something that looked like whiskey. "Drink this." She drank. It burned. "Tell me the truth. All of it." He sat across from her, elbows on knees, finally meeting her eyes. "I don't import and export legitimate goods. I move weapons, information, money that needs laundering. I run an organization that most people call a crime family. I have enemies, a lot of them. One of them is named Choi. He's been trying to take my territory for 2 years. He just found a new weapon to use against me." "Me? You. Because we slept together? Because we've had dinner twice? Because he thinks you matter to me." He stood, paced, energy barely contained. "And he's right. You don't know me. Not really." "I know enough." He stopped, turned. "I know you're brave. I know you make terrible decisions when you're hurt. I know you kiss like you're trying to forget the world exists. I know you left without saying goodbye because you thought one night was all we'd have. I know every day since has felt wrong without you in it." Silence stretched between them. Finally, she spoke. "What now? Now you stay here, under protection, until I deal with Choi." "Deal with him how?" "You don't want to know." "Yes, I do. If I'm going to be leverage, if I'm going to be a weapon you're fighting over, I deserve to know what that means. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded. It means I'm going to kill him, and probably a lot of his men. It means things are going to get violent and bloody and final. It means I'm starting a war to keep you safe. Don't. Her voice shook. Don't do that. Just let me go. Tell him I don't matter. Tell him it was one night. It's too late for that. He's already moved. And even if I could convince him you don't matter... He crossed back to her, crouched in front of her, took her hands. I can't. Because you do. The confession hung in the air. She should have been terrified, should have demanded to leave, to be taken somewhere safe, somewhere far from him and his wars and his dangerous world. Instead, she squeezed his hands back. I'm scared. You should be. This is real. The danger is real. But I promise you, his voice dropped, intense. No one will touch you. No one will hurt you. I'll burn this whole city down before I let that happen. That's not comforting. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be true. A knock on the door. One of his men stepped in. Sir, they've moved. Where? Warehouse district. 15 men. They're waiting. Jae-min stood, everything about him changing. The man who'd held her gently disappeared, replaced by something else. Something harder. Tell the team to gear up. We leave in 10. The man nodded, disappeared. Jae-min turned back to her. Stay here. Min-jun will watch the door. Don't open it for anyone but me. Wait. She stood. Be careful. He smiled, no warmth in it. I'm never careful, but I'm always effective. He kissed her, quick and possessive. When I get back, we're going to have a long conversation about what happens next. What does happen next? That depends on you. Then he was gone, door closing, lock engaging. She was alone in an office in a compound run by a criminal organization, protected by men with guns, waiting for a man she barely knew to come back from war. She thought about the last month, the betrayal, the club, the night that changed everything. Thought about how she'd gone looking for one kind of danger and found something else entirely. 3 weeks had passed since she thought her biggest problem was planning a perfect anniversary. 3 weeks since her world imploded and reformed into something unrecognizable, which brought her here, to the parking garage scene that started everything. The gun, the threats. The moment she realized she wasn't just involved in something dangerous, she was at the center of it. Jae-min had appeared like an avenging angel, perfectly timed, perfectly controlled. The men who'd grabbed her fled like shadows when he arrived. And now she stood in his compound, his empire, his world, trying to understand how she'd gotten here. He found her an hour later, blood on his shirt but walking steady. She stood when he entered, took in the sight of him. Are you hurt? It's not my blood. Did you? Yes. Simple. Final. He'd killed people tonight. For her. Because of her. She should have been horrified. Should have run. Instead, she crossed to him, checked him for injuries anyway. It's done, he said quietly. Choi won't be a problem anymore. His organization will fracture without him. My people are handling the cleanup. What now? Now you decide. He caught her hands, held them still. You can leave. I'll give you money, new identity if you want. Set you up somewhere safe. Somewhere far from this world. You'll never see me again. Or you stay. You accept what I am, what I do. You become part of this. And I spend the rest of my life making sure nothing touches you. She should have chosen the first option. Any rational person would. Safety over danger. Normal over chaos. But, standing there, looking at him, covered in someone else's blood, she realized the truth. She'd stopped being rational the moment she kissed him on that rooftop. I don't want to leave. Something flashed in his eyes. Relief? Triumph? Possession? You're sure? No, but I'm staying anyway. He pulled her close, held her like she might disappear. You're mine now. You understand that? Not in some romantic way. In a real, permanent, dangerous way. The kind that doesn't end. I understand. Once you're in this world, you don't get out. I know. She thought she chose danger that night in the club. Thought she was taking control of her own destruction. She didn't know danger had already chosen her, marked her as his the moment their eyes met across a crowded room. And now there was no walking away, no going back to the life she'd lost. But standing there in his arms, she realized something else. She didn't want to go back. The woman who'd bought anniversary gifts and planned perfect evenings was gone. In her place was someone harder, braver, more honest. Someone who chose what she wanted instead of what she should want. Someone who belonged to danger and let danger belong to her. If you made it to the end of this story, you're the real ones. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and which moment had you most hooked, and smash that like button because your support makes stories like this possible. More intense, emotional tales are coming your way. Until next time, remember, sometimes the biggest danger isn't the one you see coming. It's the one you choose anyway.